Hey, welcome once again to another issue of the newest Mutants. I am your host and resident mutant, Laz. But enough about me. Let's talk about the New Mutants Lethal Legion number 5. This is Vampire Heist 2. But of course, before we move into the meat and potatoes of this book, let's go right to the facts on file. Credits are going out to Charlie Jane Anders, writer, Enid Ballum, penciler, Elisabetta D'Amico, inker, Matt Milla, color, VC's Travis Lanham, letterer, Tom Muller with Jay Bowen on design, editor-in-chief is CB Cebulski, and the cover art goes out to Javi Fernandez and Eric Arcaniega. And of course, let's look at that cover. Boom. You got a little glare. I'm going to try and unglare it here for you. Let's put up a digital picture here. I like it. Look at Nefaria. He's like towering over the city. The New Mutants looking a little bit ragged and worn. This is the thrilling conclusion of the Lethal Legion that we've been waiting for. Let's do it. Issue 5 starts out with Escapade and Sarabella staking out the future expo that they suspect Nefaria is going to strike. They're in the middle of a pretty deep conversation, and Escapade reveals that she thought she could be a person that could help look out for Sarabella. Sarabella is like, hey, the only way for me to heal is just to heal. Back now in the sewers, Rain, Scout, Karma, Mirage, and Morgan have reunited with the sewer dragon, Beatrice. Rain wants to recruit Beatrice to their cause of stopping Nefaria, but Morgan is like, maybe we shouldn't force her to fight. However, Scout has an idea. We return to our conversation between Sheila and Martha, Escapade, and Sarabella. It's now happening telepathically. This is a pretty deep and emotional conversation dealing with how they both have a lot of trauma that they're both dealing with. But it's not a contest, is what Sarabella says. And instead of Escapade trying to, take care of her, take care of Sarabella, Sarabella's like, hey, maybe we should have been trying to take care of each other. It's at this point where Escapade stumbles upon the Lethal Legion, finding where they've set up their strange machine. No, their weird machine. Sarabella and Escapade then meet up with the rest of the team in the sewers. And while Escapade's inner dialogue is saying, hey, no more of my ideas are going to work here. The grown-ups are in the building. Mirage is like, we're not going to fight them. Let's plan a heist. And then Sheila's like, wait, that's usually my idea. Okay, so this is where New Mutants gets a little Ocean's 11. In this scenario, Karma takes on the role of CEO of the Hachi Corp, which of course she is or was. And Scout is now hidden in some luggage, and they use all of this as a distraction to get through the security of the future expo. Out of the expo now, we see the Lethal Legion guarding the weird device, and it's now powering up. With this, we cut to Captain Marvel. What? Nope, it's Mirage fooling Moonstone, who has beef with Carol Danvers. So Morgan, Escapade, and Sarabella have been tailing Volga and the Unicorn around, and after Escapade uses their kind of switch abilities, they're able to disable them, where Unicorn has been replaced by Morgan, and Escapade has taken Volga's powers. It's kind of funny. All right, this is when Moonstone realizes that the Captain Marvel that's there is just Mirage getting into her head. Mirage doesn't want to fight, though. Instead, she appeals to her as a therapist. She's like, what is your professional opinion of Nefaria? Moonstone is like, well, he's a paranoid narcissist, but I always seem to work for them anyways, and I just kind of accept that. Mirage is sort of like, well, Nefaria's plan won't work, and he's just going to kill a lot of people. You're not a mass murderer. I mean, you might be a murderer, but you're not a mass murderer. Moonstone's not having any of that argument. She's like, well, you guys almost tried to kill me, and I almost died. And, yeah, I don't trust you. Mirage is like, no, we don't want things like that to happen again. It doesn't matter. They're going to fight. Now, a bit of an aside, I had originally introduced Moonstone when I said her career started as an immoral scientist. She was actually a physicist. I don't know when she became a therapist or if she had always just been a therapist also. In any case, that's what Mirage appealed to. We're going to roll with it. I just wanted to throw that in. I don't know when or where. If you know, comment. That's what I like. At this point, the heist is still in motion, and Gulura shuts off the power to the convention where this expo is, at least most of the power, in an attempt to, hopefully get people to leave the building, as well as, set up the New Mutants plan. Turning off the power kind of sets everyone into action, though. Moonstone accuses Mirage of stalling. Mirage is like, no, I meant every word I said. Nefaria is like, what? What's happening? He's pissed. And we have the Unicorn, who is actually Morgan Red, dashing towards the weird machine. Things start to get really out of hand. Rain busts through the ground with Beatrice for the purpose of scaring people away from the expo, to save them from Nefaria's mad scheme. I think this was Scout's idea on how to use Beatrice. However, at this point, things get pretty intense and out of hand. Okay, so things get pretty intense at this point. I'm going to put pictures up of this fight, of these panels. It's 2 pages, but there's a lot happening. It's intense. I'm going to try my best to describe it. Morgan is attempting to shut down the weird machine. Nefaria realizes he's not the Unicorn, stops him. Volga Bell has had his powers taken by Escapade, and Escapade is in Volga's form, and she starts fighting Skullcrusher. Scout and Rain are trying to get Beatrice to safety. It's kind of a wild fight going on. Now Danny is fighting Moonstone, but through all of this, Nefaria has had enough, and he just starts sacrificing people. Like, he's turned on the weird machine. It's starting to work. And he's draining their ionic energy. The situation is getting dire. People are dying. Sarabella and Escapade talk about how everything has gotten so off plan. And Sarabella is like, you are the most confusing person I know. So why don't you go out and confuse Nefaria? And that's kind of what happens, right? In a series of body switches, she saves Sarabella from Skullcrusher, it looks like, and she makes her way to Nefaria. She has this funny bit where she's like, look, you don't have to kill people. You could make a killing as a motivational speaker. I heard they make a lot of money. At this point, Moonstone flies over and has got her hands on the throat of Escapade and is pissed. She wants revenge for how Escapade nearly killed her. And she's about to land a killing blow on dear Sheila. However, at this point, Sheila uses her powers and switches, this is brilliant, with Nefaria. And now Moonstone's about to land that killing blow on Nefaria. Of course, Nefaria is able to reverse this killing blow, and he tosses Moonstone away, and he strikes her with his ionic power, and he's like, I've been restored, no one can stop me. Except he's really not. The ionic power is too much, and whatever happened to him previously, he's not able to absorb the same amount. And now it's like burning him. He's like in pain. And you wonder what's going to happen. Is he going to explode? What's going on? Well, here we go. This is awesome. I guess in their attempt to escape, Rain and Scout with Beatrice burst through the floor, and Beatrice just, boom, bites Nefaria and has her in his jaws. And with that, Scout and Rain, Wolfsbane, right? They take Beatrice out, and they go to the water. The New Mutants are left on the beach. And Beatrice dives with Nefaria in her mouth. And there's a big explosion underwater. And she makes the ultimate sacrifice to save the New Mutants in New York from Nefaria, who is about to explode. Rain and Scout are devastated. But then she emerges. Beatrice comes up unharmed. And they're overjoyed. The question is that it for Nefaria? Before I finish up, I want to quickly talk about Morgan Red. We actually really didn't discuss anything about him very much other than he's been Sheila's best friend. But like Escapade, he did first appear in Marvel Voices #1, Volume 2 from 2022. He has one of the coolest powers in the Marvel Universe. And when I tell you, you're going to be like, wow, that actually is one of the coolest powers. He can turn organic material into chocolate. Most of the time, milk chocolate, but it depends on the organic material. I wonder if he can make white chocolate or ruby chocolate or dark chocolate. That's the coolest power. I mean, come on. The ability to make chocolate? This person is Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka. Okay. Anyways, he's been Sheila's best friend since the 5th grade. So they're pretty tight. And this kind of schism they had during this issue, hopefully it's the last, but who knows? They might be on separate paths at this point. Okay, so now they're all back on Krakoa, the New Mutants, and Beatrice, and Morgan, who previously said, oh, I don't want to go there, right? This last part is a wonderful, epilogue to our story. And it's all about Cerebella and Escapade. Now, remember in the first issue, Cerebella had this romantic vision of a ballroom dance during the heist with Escapade, right? Where, they could watch each other's back while they were dancing and then take out the bad guys. And they get it. The New Mutants give them this experience. They have their dance. And ultimately, they have their first kiss. And that's how the issue ends. It is such a sweet and beautiful ending. It was a really good arc for Escapade. We're going to talk more about that. But how does this set things up for the future? Again, more questions that we'll attempt to answer. This is, of course, the part of the episode where I like to talk about what's going on with me personally. And I hope you all liked this rundown of the New Mutants Lethal Legion. I learned a lot from reading this series. I really enjoy Escapade's character. So much so that I'm actually searching for Marvel Voices Pride 2022. I actually went to my local comic store yesterday. They had the 2021 issue. They didn't have 2022. I was kind of bummed out. I hope I can find it because I really want this first appearance. I'm also hoping to create 1 to 2 videos a week, on new comics, X-Men related comics or mutant related comics. If there is a New Mutants book, it will be included, but we will follow the mainline X-Men series, which is just X-Men right now, and then likely some other stuff. Definitely going to be checking out Jean Grey. I know there's going to be an Iceman series. Wolverine, of course, is going to always be on the docket at some point. But who knows what's coming out. We'll see, and I'll review things that I think, after I read them, are good and worth reading. I generally don't find any reason to say, hey, don't read a comic, right? Because I think you should always read the comic. But I'm going to just review stuff that I generally like. So that's it. Anyhow, back to the show. Before I talk about our 3 favorite panels from this issue, I want to do a shout out to Charlie Jane Anders, who really did a bang up job on this series. We had multiple characters experience good development arcs. We learned a lot about what motivates these characters as well. I'm going to read Charlie's bio from her own website, okay? Charlie Jane Anders is hard at work on a new adult novel tentatively called The Prodigal Mother. Most recently, she wrote the young adult Unstoppable trilogy, Victories Greater Than Death, Dreams Bigger Than Heartbreak, and Promises Stronger Than Darkness. She's also the author of the short story collection Even Greater Mistakes and Never Say You Can't Survive, a book about how to use creative writing to get through hard times. Her other books include The City in the Middle of the Night and All the Birds in the Sky. She's won a Hugo, a Nebula, a Sturgeon, a Lambda Literary, Crawford, and Locus Awards. She co-created Escapade, a transgender superhero from Marvel Comics, and wrote her into the long-running New Mutants comic. And she's currently the science fiction and fantasy book reviewer for the Washington Post. Her TED Talk, Go Ahead, Dream About the Future, got 700,000 views in its first week. With Annalee Newitz, she is the co-host of the podcast Our Opinions Are Correct. I want to thank Charlie Jane for creating Escapade. Awesome character, and for writing her into the New Mutants. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Charlie Jane. Okay, so what are our favorite panels this time? The first is this gorgeous full-page picture of Escapade finding the Lethal Legion at the Future Expo. They're all kind of, posed a little bit villainously. I like it. Let's check it out. I couldn't necessarily find an online photo, so I'm going to take a picture, but we can look at it here in the book itself. Really like Moonstone kind of floating there, kind of funny. And then you, of course, have Nefaria, being very, I don't know, he's got really long arms. I don't know why he just has long arms. I probably showed it a little bit earlier when I was describing the fight, but we're going to look at that again. I mean, these panels are outstanding. The one specifically that I like is this is this panel right here, right? And it's on 2 pages. But it's really this big fight scene, and it's got like everybody in it, and I really like it. Hopefully I put up a better image earlier, but here it is. A great picture. Of course, I saved the best for last, right? I am a romantic at heart, and so when a couple gets together, it makes me happy. It made Stan Lee happy, and you would know that if you've seen the movie Mallrats. So, young couples in love, boom. Look at that. First kiss. A little awkward, but I'm very happy for them. All right. What are my final thoughts on the New Mutants Lethal Legion miniseries, 5 issues? I wasn't sure what to expect going into this series. I hadn't really read a New Mutants comic for 15 years or so. So it's been a long time. I have no idea what's been happening in the Marvel Universe. Like I said at the beginning of this series when I made it, I've been, just in the MCU for that amount of time. On my first read, I felt that it was a little slow to start. But by issue 3, I think they really nailed home for me. On the second read, though, I was fully invested in these characters, and I've said it a few times, by the way they're pushing Escapade, it really feels like this is someone who may be getting a starring role somewhere soon, and I hope she does. But I also fear for her, especially with the Fall of X coming up. She just got into this relationship with Sarabella, and love is the most dangerous thing in the Marvel Universe. So be careful, Escapade and Sarabella. I'm worried for you. And of course, before I go, it's time to show off a comic book. So what did you think I was going to end this one on? I started with the first comic book I showed on this show was, of course, Giant Size X-Men #1, but this is the Newest Mutants. Yes, friends, this is New Mutants #1. Do you see it? This is a classic cover with the New Mutants in the danger zone. The danger zone. The danger room. It's not the danger... I'm an idiot. The danger room. But look at this. Beautiful. All right. Happy to be able to show it to you. Fun fact, I literally bought it yesterday, August 3rd, for $8. It was at the local comic book store. Couldn't say no. Well, that's all for this issue of the Newest Mutants. We'll be back soon with all new, all different comments for me to talk about and show off. Excelsior.